Solid Show RTD. Coming at you. Okay. Bear with me. I'm new at this. Okay. We should be live and in color. Hopefully. Okay. Can you please work with me? I'm just waiting for Danni Deeds. Where are you at, brother? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Whole Solid Show RTD coming at you with the Solid Show. Bear with me. I'm kind of new at this, and let's see. Let's see how I get Danni Deeds on the line. Like I said, folks, new at this. Danni Deeds, where are ya? Calling Danni Deeds. Mother trucker, where did you go? Alright, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, bear with me for a bit. I'm just trying to get Danni Deeds here. Alright. For all of you that are watching, just comment in the... write a comment there so I know who's all here. Come on now. There he is. Danni Deeds. The guy I was waiting for. Deeds here. Awesome. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to get Danny in here. Just give me a few seconds, people. Where did it go? Right there. Hey, I'm trying to get you in here, but it's not working. Maybe you could try to join from your end there, Danny. For all of you that are still sticking around, thank you. I appreciate it. Just having technical difficulties right now. Okay. Hey, Danny, you still around? I don't see the button to get him in here. Huh. Okay. Yes, that's the way to go. So, why don't I just do this right now? Um, since you guys could probably hear me. Uh, until I get Danny on camera. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Danni Deeds. He will be answering questions in the chat until I get him on the camera. And Danny, here's your entrance.
Stun you, and you, and you who. I'll stun you fans and promoters too. It's true. Kurt Angle, woo. This is that guy stunner anthem. Get offended, hear me rant. This is that guy stunner anthem. Turn your back and I'll attack him. It's the throw up in the ring that Draven Andrews left it splattered. It's an awkward failed suicide dive. Bust your lips and bust your pride. I swear that I just tossed you out, but somehow you came back to fight. The tackle drop down leapfrog spot they always want to remix. All the loud fans just annoy me. Try to boo me, them's they stupid. Put Scarlett right through a table, left her spine all convoluted.
Sorry, Scarlett, I just had to play it up to that point. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the people that are in the room, if you have a question, type it in the comment area and Danny will get it, and I will be in the process of trying to get him into the video. But anyways, I will start off with my first question for you, Danny. What's it like being a promoter in the wrestling business? You gonna answer, Dan? Hey, Colton. This was not working out properly. Uh, okay, guess I'll kind of read out your answer here. The PBW team is great. The crew and talent is amazing, and beyond a few learning curves, has been fun and smooth. Awesome. I'm just not going to mention the names because, hey, well, uh, I suck at pronouncing names. Yeah, maybe we could do that. Um, Hang on. I'll still be live, but I'm going to try something. Somebody gave me a great idea. Thank you. So, this is what I'm going to do. Uh, I'm going to go like this. There he is. Haha. We're going to do it this way. Hello, Mr. Deeds.
Is this going to kind of work? I won't be able to see the questions now that are posed. We got to scary, and what did we get to? We got to the scary movie and your question about being a promoter. And that's as far. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I'll try to aim it at the, here, I'll try reversing my camera.
Oh, here, I'm going to turn you. I'm going to get rid of your Facebook Live. So I'm not part of that chat anymore for anyone watching. Just so they know.
Reverse camera right there. There you go.
I don't know where I am now. I can see those. I don't know if people can see me or hear me. I'm not sure.
Well, you are talking pretty close to the mic, so they'll be able to hear you. And
all right, fair enough.
They're looking at my ugly mug.
Well, that's fair enough. All right. I can see everyone's comments now. We're caught up to speed. I guess I don't know what happened. Normal live feeds, you should just be able to invite. So I'm not really sure what the thing is. But either way, we're here. And we're here. We're happy. So PPW is a great time. Pacific Pro Wrestling Canada. We're based out of Abbotsford. The idea is we just are blending a variety of the talent that probably due to more so politics out here on the BC end of things have been prevented from sometimes even being in a ring together. So it's fun, it's exciting, it's different. We mix up a variety of things. The teams are great. The community's loving it. We do try to give back and raise awareness about different community organizations as part of our main focal point. So it's wrestling, but it's also community based. And with the exception of being shut down for COVID for all of our shows this year but one, I'm pretty optimistic. We have 8 shows lined up for next year, and we'll knock them off as we go, depending on our own provincial restrictions. We still have a brand new championship belt that is yet to be presented to our champion who had won a tournament, and we got to figure out the follow to that. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it whenever it kind of gets back on track.
Awesome. Any other questions in the chat?
Rob asked me about a scary movie. I really do like Pet Sematary, one of the original ones. I also really like the original Texas Chainsaw series. I just kind of had a bit of a fascination with it when I was a teenager. And there's been a lot of things. Stephen King was really good back in the 80s and 90s with providing some bit more of a creepy edge to things. So, yeah. Yeah, there'll be no visual of me. Apparently, you get RTD's face. You know.
Yeah, well, apparently not really, because it says, sorry, having trouble playing this video.
For whatever reason, neither of our faces want to be seen by social media, but as long as they can hear what we're saying, I guess really that's the point.
All right. Well, I guess it's another audio interview that I'm doing.
Oh, that's all right.
But is it difficult to have three promotions in one province?
There's about 9, I think.
9.
Okay, so on Vancouver Island, there's 365 Pro Wrestling. That's run by Eddie Osborne. He typically runs Campbell River. He also runs in Ontario, out that way too. So he's kind of split across Canada. Then there's Vancouver Island Pro Wrestling. They typically run just outside of Victoria and Langford, and in Nanaimo. And then on the mainland, there was ECCW, who was a staple for quite some time, but after the Speaking Out movement, a lot of things have shifted. So we don't really know what's happening with them. And then there's All Star Wrestling, run by gorgeous Michelle Starr and Nathan Burke. And then there's PPW on the mainland. There is Royal City Wrestling once upon a time. I don't know if it's still around in New West. Rickshaw Wrestling put together by Cobra Kai and Calamity Kate and Mercury Artists. They do different things like the Lucha Libre Spectacular and horror show on Hastings, things of that nature. And then in the Okanagan, Thrash Wrestling. Occasionally there's Invasion Championship Wrestling, although that might be on hiatus. Big West is a consistent one there, run by Marty Sugar. And then even from Alberta, drifting over another PPW, Pure Power Wrestling, also runs in Cranbrook, British Columbia. Danny Warren comes over here with CWE. The Agrifair also runs. There's a bunch of different fairs all throughout that promotions kind of collaborate on. It is a mashup of things. Yeah. So, and not just the three. There's a lot going on out here.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I thought it was just Thrash, Big West, and then your company.
No, Thrash and Big West are typically the Okanagan mainstays, and they float around all over the place up there. Marty has even like gone up as far as Golden when it comes to Big West Wrestling. And then down here, the mainland has a bunch, and there's a lot of shifting that's happened over the years. But right now, All Star would be the most senior, I think we would say, at this particular moment, because they've been around for decades. Ultimately, that brand, and it's just been rebuilt over time. I think they're really doing a good job of now trying to structure a roster and kind of create their own identity out here now. Like I said, ECCW, I'm not sure what's to come for them. A lot of things fell apart a few months ago. Champions gave up their belts, and everything was kind of put on hiatus, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily dead. I just don't know what direction they're going to go. We're mainly out in Abbotsford right now. We might branch out of the valley at some point, but we work kind of partner. Like I rent different equipment from different promotions, and we utilize different talent from all over the place. We always kind of work together, even though there's a lot of labels. To be quite honest, the promoters work really well together at utilizing the talent that we have up here, and at least hopefully giving them a good platform. There's a lot of great talent up here that has not even yet been discovered, let alone you haven't even seen be given the right opportunities yet. So it should be a good, fun few years once it picks back up.
Rob has a question for you. Can you?
What is it like to yell at a baby and challenge them to get in a ring? Well, it feels pretty good, to be quite honest, because if you're going to bring an infant child to a wrestling event that you know is going to be loud and boisterous with a guy like me in the ring, you can't expect me not to use that baby to get some heat. And that baby might be saying things in baby talk that we don't necessarily understand. And I could be like, you're a big, foul-mouthed, bald-headed, bearded guy. Mwah, mwah, mwah. How do we know the baby's not talking smack in its own language? Some people would argue the baby deserved it. But at the end of the day, babies are going to cry about everything. So we'll see.
Oh, guess it's kind of like I watched some of your interviews there that you did in the past, and just how you how's the word go, proceed yourself, and how when I met you in behind the scenes there, when you were doing the ring announcing for CWE there, it just like two totally different like entities pretty much is like you were like being a real skeevy guy in your interview there, and then in when I met you as the ring announcer, you were just all this lovely dovey guy, and just how can you switch like that?
Um, it's probably called dissociative identity disorder, I believe. Is the technical term. No, but quite frankly, there are a lot of different deeds. I just love to entertain, so I have to be used to it all the time. I'm going to be a heel, I'm going to be a face, I'm going to be an announcer, I'm going to be a ref, I'm going to be a wrestler. I think that if you're going to be in this business on the fly, you need to be ready for any and everything. You never know. You could go to a ring and you could be like, oh, you got to go out there and be a good guy and do this, that, and the other, and the crowd's going to eat you alive. How are you going to adapt? If I can't be happy one day and mad the next, who knows? Can't do it all unless you're going to be it all.
So when I was interviewing Scarlett Black there, she mentioned that she was missing your world title match.
World title. A world title match.
Yeah, you had a championship match.
Oh, the Big West Wrestling TV title match a couple weeks ago. Yeah, she picked your interview segment over watching me live, which is understandable. We have a love-hate relationship. But
I think she
yeah,
just loves me more.
evidently so. So I'll remember that and give her a receipt for it one day. But yeah, it was a fun match. As I said that I would in the spoilers before, I was victorious. It was via disqualification, thanks to Camaro Cope having a really nasty attitude and pretty much DQing most of the stellar matches that were happening over the two shows on that day. Um, I'm hoping next weekend is a plug Marty Sugar, gives him his comeuppance. Anyways, but yeah, the match was fun. I really enjoy working Jordy Taylor, despite the fact that we have a lot of social media animosity towards one another. He's really honed his craft in the last handful of years, and the multitude of championships and backing up all the shit talking that he does, pardon the casual language. I don't know. I thought our chemistry was really good. Um, I should be the champion, though.
I agree.
We all think we should be the champion, but I should be the champ, Jordy.
Roseanne has a question. Because of the COVID, what's it been like for you, or just getting shows out set up for next year?
I know. I did take a break off. I took the time off and decided I was going to wait till fall to get back into the ring, so at least I could be a bit more prepared mentally and physically to do so. So I started back with Big West Wrestling. Um, we were doing a variety of shows, including supposed to be coming up on November 14th, but due to our provincial restrictions where we're living at, we're not able to go up and attend the show because they don't want people associated with sports and events traveling out of the area. So, out of respect for that, unfortunately, I can't be at the show, hopefully winning the Internet Championship this weekend. But I'm actively doing that and looking forward to reaching out to a few more promoters as the months go on and maybe getting back into more the swing of things. As far as a promotional end of things, we did line up 8 dates for Pacific Pro Wrestling in Abbotsford for next year. We pre-reserved those right as soon as we actually had to cancel our March 14th show due to COVID. I looked ahead as an event planner and said, all right, well, since most of this year likely would be and it ended up being a write-off, I pre-reserved 8 dates for next year in hopes that I can either do socially modified shows the way some of the promotions are able to pull off doing, or we'll just knock them off one at a time. I'm hoping at some point next year that we'll continue with some normalcy in the Fraser Valley.
um, I got a question for you. Would you ever consider like doing what Danny's doing and travel across Canada?
I'd absolutely consider it if it got to that particular point. Although I think, much to his credit, I don't need to tread on Danny's toes so much. He puts in such an effort to try to crisscross this entire country. Nobody can match him in that effort. And I'm happily supporting him when he comes out to BC, and I give him great applause for the things that he has to do it. I'd like to start maybe within the province and start hitting a few more areas that aren't normally seen. Even within 1 or 2 hours from where I am in Abbotsford, that normally doesn't get wrestling, or even up a bit northern in BC, where it's very seldom wrestling goes up there anymore, except when maybe Danny pops through, but maybe make it a bit more frequent than a couple times a year. I don't think that there's a need, though, for Pacific Pro to really expand eastward. With the amount of talent and promotions that are already scattered throughout, I think that there'd probably be enough just co-promotion and people working together to help each other's products that I would just probably get lost in the shuffle, to be honest. And yeah.
You mentioned, the other companies helping out and stuff like that. Is it kind of like the NWA days when they would send their champion to the other company and they would send somebody towards yours? So this way it would be like a switch off. So your champion would go over there and their champion would come over there and
We haven't set up something like that, but there have been a few examples where working with the other promoters had come out well. Like, a great example would include Scarlett Black, where she was the Okanagan Interior champion, but we spoke to a promoter in the UK. We coordinated with All Star Wrestling. We had a variety of things happen, and in the end, after it was all said and done, we were finally allowed to have championship matches, like an international championship match on a show in Abbotsford. And then we had a VIPW championship match from the island on our show, and things of that nature. I like the idea that we're open to having other titles brought in and defended, because I think that it builds up the entire wrestling brand as a whole. Not all of the other promoters and wrestlers feel that way. Now that we have our own championship, the first year was fun because we had an interwoven story that led us to having a title, and in the meantime, we were showcasing all of the talent we could, and just across the board wrestling as a whole. Now that we have our own main championship, it may be less likely that you're going to see singles belts defended on our shows all the time. I'm not saying that it's not out of the question, but I don't know. I like the idea of cross-branding and setting champions here and there. I do feel, though, that there's going to be a lot of pickiness out here on a promotional end, because when you have too many champions working the same promotion, or for working different promotions and holding those belts, it comes into conflict as to who they're fighting, and certain etiquette with champions behind the scenes, booking priorities between companies that try to run the same dates. Things like that were problematic. Granted, right now, because of COVID, to be honest, I think like everybody's at a clean slate. You're a wrestler that's been sitting on your ass for the last 8 months doing nothing, or you've been getting yourself better behind the scenes and waiting for a booking. Some of them are already getting their foot in the door, much like me and a few others on the few shows that there are. And then we really don't know. But coming back, no champion right now, to me, in my honest opinion, unless you're actively wrestling on shows, really should be a champion at this point, because we've been sitting on our hands. And the idea beyond even just a 30-day clause was that if you're not wrestling and you're not proving that you're the champion and you're not being the things and doing the things, then we might as well start from scratch. And that's probably what's gonna happen. As soon as things can really get back to full steam and all these promotions are battling to try to get the attention and the spotlight and the dates and yada yada, it's going to be exciting for the fans, but it's going to get really heated out here and in a lot of other places, I'm sure. Sorry, I got a bit off topic there.
No. This is what it's for, just say stuff like, your answers are much better than, my questions.
Oh, that's good. Well, hopefully, the idea is to be informative, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, Justin has a question. Here, let me...
Oh, boy. Oh, yes. Ah, yes. Well, I'll read it out loud for those of you. Now that you are unable to attend Big West Wrestling's Tougher Than Leather, how is it going to feel when Justin Snyder takes the spotlight and becomes the internet champion? And I should expect this because I went on social media last night and I very heavily berated and goaded Justin Snyder. So the fact that he's here paying attention on this live feed and poking at me, I'm happy. It makes me happy. I'm not happy that I'm not going to be at Big West this weekend. It frustrates me that the likelihood of somebody else getting that belt instead of me is there. And Justin, I'm looking forward to our little social media banter this week because I think things are going to get really heated outside this live feed. So stay tuned, fans, to that in addition to the rest of this. Justin Snyder, entertainment provider.
Well, I think Justin's going to dig himself into a grave if he keeps on going up against you.
There you go, more Deeds supporters. Ha! Take that, Snyder.
Any rebuttal there, Justin?
Oh, I'm sure he'll have a rebuttal. That's may not be appropriate for the live feed, but I'm sure he's going to have something to say in the near future.
All right. Any other questions? Remember, Deeds is here to answer and might not like the answer.
You have a list of your backup questions you're going to ask me in between, like if I'm 5'11" and blue-eyed and things like that, or...
Oh, I was just going to ask, how is it being a father?
That's the best part of my life, to be honest with you. Wrestling's been my dream, but before that, I wanted more than nothing to be a dad. And having the girls be so supportive and be so interactive and getting to see them grapple around in a professional ring and come out dressed up as the Pittsburgh Kid and as you, I can't even describe it, but yeah, it definitely changed my perspective on how much I do wrestle, to be honest. I took the route of wanting to stay and spend the time and be with the kids. Yeah. And when I was finally breaking out and getting better at my craft, I don't think that I really tried to reach my own potential at that point. I was only a few years into my wrestling career after my, official certification or whatever you wanted to call it back then. I don't regret sacrificing any of that time because if you have a chance to have kids and you want to do it, then you should, is my advice.
So Justin rebutted.
Oh, he did. The family has lots to say. I bet it does. Oh, I bet it does. Yeah.
And Rob asked a question.
My favorite breakfast cereal. We don't, I don't know the actual name of it. But once upon a time, my mom used to drive us down to Sumas, Washington, because it's right across the border here in Abbotsford, and there was a big grocery outlet there. And I think it was something along the line of, like, Magic Stars. And it was like this knockoff version of what I think Lucky Charms was supposed to be. But it was really, really good. And I would eat that cereal religiously. And now, for the life of me, I know it wasn't Canadian. I've never seen it around any time again. So I guess in the meantime, I've really been enjoying Frosted Flakes lately. The DWO, the family. You know what I can appreciate about this live feed is that the family, Big West Wrestling, Tuesday Night Talkdown, Dylan Murphy, the Dope World Order, everybody's getting involved on this live feed from the shoot reality of the promotional life that we lead, not here. Good on them. You posted questions earlier, Scarlett Black, on some other feed that wasn't this. You had to be on the live feed with your questions. That was the idea, I think. Or RTD, am I wrong?
Oh,
you tell Scarlett, am I right or is she right?
Let's see. She does want to marry me.
Let's see.
One of the questions that was asked of Scarlett in her interview was hump, um, um,
Hump.
hump, marry, and kill, and the options were Danny Duggan, AJ Sanchez, and me.
And you.
Yeah, and well, she said she would kill Duggan. She would marry me and have sex with AJ.
I see.
So there's some heat right
Well, I'm
there.
going to change this up on you. I'm going to marry AJ because I know he's a good guy. I'm going to fuck Duggan because I know he's experienced enough that he would be a good time. And I'm going to kill you for wanting to marry Scarlett Black because she's mine, bitch.
Oh.
Answer your damn question on TV. Damn it, anyway.
Well, see, Scarlett doesn't really like you. She
No,
likes me
probably
more.
not. No, that's true. That's true. Although after being shackled to me for a week earlier this year, I think I've kind of grown on her like a
Like a mole.
mole. Mole, mole, mole. Yeah, something like that.
And
Scarlet Black. Why are you so obsessed with Scarlet Black? Why did you try to kill her at Crash to Pass? I'm not obsessed with her. She happens to be hot, and she's good in the ring. I just
what
think we
about
have
the
good
sack?
chemistry, and I enjoy kicking her ass. So it's more like when you enjoy a good drink, you want to go back and keep drinking that drink. And if kicking Scarlett's ass is drinking a good drink, then I want to go back and keep drinking. As far as trying to kill you, well, you would try to kill me. The idea was to put somebody through something at Crash to Pass. Like one guy went through a table, somebody went through a door and a TV and yada yada. Who better to cripple you before Christmas than Danny Deeds?
Well, that song that I got it off of YouTube there, and it shows the clip of you throwing her through the table.
Yeah,
Are you proud of that?
yeah, yeah. Because if she was in the same position, you can imagine if I was up on the second rope and she had an opportunity to sneak in there and powerbomb me through the table, she damn sure would have done it. And she would have licked her lips, grinned, blown a little kiss, smacked her ass, done whatever, and tried to walk out of there with the K5. So, of course, I have no regrets, except that I didn't walk out the winner that match. That was probably the only regret of that night.
So, what was your favorite part of being handcuffed to her for a week? Seeing her in the shower?
Favorite part? Favorite part? No, we had to do like the weird thing where I was around the corner standing by where the cat's litter box was so she could shower. So that wasn't really the best part. Um, I think the only part that I really enjoyed when I was shackled to her was when we were ripping on Slave and Jade, because that's at least one common denominator we had that week. And we did a lot of funny talking about him. And I learned about my feelings, that I can vent them very angrily, but you're like you said, I can calm them down a bit more. That shrink did really good.
Question from Dawn. Do you think you'll go on tour with CWE, and would you come to Manitoba for shows?
I would absolutely do both. I've only had an opportunity to come out for a couple of dates when Danny was out this way, but I've been very fascinated since really paying more attention to CWE in the last 2 years, just about the multitude of talent they come in, or that they bring in, and the fact that they just go all over the place and provide wrestling nearly on a daily basis. That would be a dream come true. It doesn't matter where you're doing it. If you have an opportunity to entertain and love wrestling, I would fully be on board. I think it's, of course, making sure there's a work-life balance with my kids and things like that, but I would not ever strike it off my list. And if the opportunity was there, for sure, I would discuss that. I've absolutely been also thinking about coming to Manitoba. I was excited that it was one of the few places still during COVID that, thanks to Danny, was actually running regularly. I know there has been a bit of off and on, um, you know, show cancellations and things, but as things pick up, I would absolutely love to come out there. Truth be told, I just was in Assiniboia a few weeks ago in Saskatchewan, but that's the furthest east I've ever been in Canada. And Like I've driven all throughout Alberta and BC and now a little bit of the prairies, but I've never actually been Manitoba onward, and I've been fascinated. I'd love to get out there, not only wrestle and just take a look at more of the country.
Question from Scarlett. Apparently, she loves you so much, she's always commenting. How did you choose your ring name?
I've had a few different names. I wanted something that kind of was like, I don't know, that would stick. I was always doing good deeds for people, but at the time I was also dastardly, and I realized there needed to be both something good and something bad so I can swing either way. So dastardly it was, and I just happened to like Danni Deeds as it all just kind of came together. A few years ago, I transitioned more to being that guy as a label associated with it, more so because I just became a very loud-mouthed, in-your-face kind of personality. And even though I kind of have a nerd persona that still exists around me, as far as my look goes, I very much feel my demeanor changed towards social media and the wrestling community. And as things became a little less magical for all those fans out there, and they're scrutinizing with their smart marking and all those things, they started to need to have a character that was just going to be more in their face. And yeah, so that guy it was, because I piss everybody off. I'm that guy. So it was pretty dang awesome. Good. I look forward. I have been researching flights and trying to time it with time off and taking a look at Danny's calendars and things. So one day, I'm sure, I'm looking forward to it. If not somebody else out there, but I'm pretty sure it's mainly Danny, right? And then there was another one too. There was what else is in Manitoba? If someone can correct me there.
I think there was Winnipeg Pro Wrestling. I think it was
Yeah.
the WPW.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, yeah. Sorry not to leave them out. I just wanted to. I know there was more out there.
Uh,
But it's kind of the same group of people with the love for wrestling, right?
I think it was also Cloud 9 too. Like
Yes.
I
Yes.
haven't heard nothing from those. Like I seen a few things that AJ and Tyler Colton did, and I'm just reading what Scarlett just wrote. Well, as your whoa, quit writing stuff. Uh, well, as your honorary future wife, RTD, I need to do your job for you clearly. Yes, you do, my dear. Yes, you do. Uh, where is your favorite place to wrestle? Hey, that's the one that one of my questions for you, Scarlett. Quit stealing my material.
Well, you asked them. Well, I do always enjoy wrestling in Abbotsford because it is my hometown, and you get a lot more of your close family and friends there. Kelowna has actually grown on me quite a bit, like the whole Okanagan area. But I am going to go with Nanaimo for the win. I feel that the love-hate relationship I've had out um, working for VIPW over the years, and the things that I've done, the fans bring the weapons match with Rhea, the hardcore match with Sloan, uh, so many different pieces, bow ties and biceps when Shreds and I were a team. So many different fun memories out there, and also the Centennial Hall that doesn't even exist anymore. Back in my early days wrestling there, and it's a great time. Nanaimo was always a hot crowd. It's a beautiful place to wander around after a show, and it's got a little special spot in my heart.
Awesome. I don't know if this question is towards Scarlett or towards you. $1 million question. Could you handle the one and only RTD in the ring? I don't know if that's for Scarlett or for you.
I don't think you could handle Scarlett, period. As for me in the ring, I don't know if you can handle me either. But if you wanted to do an RTD Deeds showdown, I would be happy to sign a contract. You find a promoter, put us in the ring together. I'd be happy to go at it if you want. You can
Well,
find out.
I bet if
Everybody
Winnipeg.
can get an answer to his question live in a ring.
Well, I bet if Winnipeg wasn't in the red there, and Manitoba was in the Orge. Could have called up CWE, got you in Winnipeg. I could have went to Winnipeg, and we could have had the showdown.
I see. Well, I'll look to you to make sure my bookings are got.
Well, I could make sure on the CWE side, but I can't promise anything in the BC side. BC bring cash, But anyways, which current product do you mostly watch now? Is that Impact, AEW, or WWE?
To be honest, I don't focus on a lot of them. I will watch packages of the shows put together, and at least try to cover all of the shows every week. More so highlight packages or reading up on things that happen, just so I can more keep in line with the business and keep up to date with what's kind of happening, both as a promoter and as a potential worker, depending on how ambitious you want to be. But I'm finding like a lot of my heart lies in the 80s and 90s, and maybe sifting into the early 2000s. And then there was just a lot of the PG era that became in the 2000s. Just I didn't pay as much attention, to be honest, because it wasn't as true to my heart. So, yeah, I'd I'd say I watch it all, but it's very seldom that I've sat down and watched an entire show front to back unless I'm on it. And then in which case I'm watching the shows when I'm there because I like to pop myself and be a fan at live events, but also so I can study the other guys on the roster and help give them feedback if needs be and try to better myself by not doubling up.
Yeah, like I guess me, you, and Duggan have something in common because we really love the '80s wrestling and the '90s. The 2000s were all right until it got to when it was that when pretty much when it the product got sour for me is when actually WCW went out of business. That right then it just like when it was only one company out there was just like a drag in professional wrestling for me, and I didn't watch it as much as a religion as it was. And from Dawn, what made you want to become a wrestler?
Watching wrestling. When I was a kid, that's all I did. I played video games and I watched wrestling, and I just became obsessed with it. And you start backyarding with your friends and rolling around when you're in elementary school, and then as you become a teenager, you take it a bit more seriously. And it's all I ever wanted. I knew it when I was in high school. I knew it later on. And no matter how it turned out, I'm excited that I followed it up. You know, live your dreams, kids. It seems silly, but I've known all my life, but I didn't actually start wrestling regularly till my mid-20s, right? So you can do it. And now here I am at 39, and last year I was one of the most active participants in BC. I hit all but two promotions last year, working the independent scene, and anything's really possible. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Dawn asked, "Are you a fanatic just like me?"
I'm a wrestling fanatic.
Just
Am I a fan of RTD and fanatic about him? We'll see. We'll see how the rest of this interview goes.
come on, everybody loves me until they get to know me. um, when you decided to make this company, did you think that you will have a roster like you do?
Yes, to be honest, I think that to give you a little bit more substance to that too, prior to, I had ambitions, much like I did to be a wrestler, to also be a promoter much early on. I spent a lot of time behind the scenes, learning a lot of things and doing a lot of things. And by trade outside of wrestling, I'm also an event planner. And it all just kind of tied into everything. But going way back, I had also stuck my foot in the door at one point and was a co-owner of ECCW a few years prior to them kind of just having this little bit of a shutdown, and being an owner with them actually was the reason I kind of stemmed off and decided to do my own thing. I think that